Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. See if Spectrum lets me down again and shuts off the internet right there in the middle of the show.
Well, if not, I can always take over and start making announcements for people.
That's what I like about Zoom. You can live stream with a couple of people, and if something happens to one, you're not having to start over like a Hangout. With how that works. So
yeah. And every time that happens, I ask people if they have anything they want to promote, but I never get any takers.
The delay. I'm back to you fast. The delay saves me.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, Julie says there was a new Wix commercial today. That's awesome.
Oh boy, the new Wix commercial is out. Is it a new SEO contest?
I know. That contest, that was kind of weird this time. Because like last time, they just kind of left it open for everybody. This time, they actually picked who was going to, optimize the Wix and who is going to optimize the competing site. That seemed kind of shady to me.
Yeah, Jordan mentions that we look tired. I'm actually tired because my 8-year-old daughter had bad dreams all night, so I got no sleep.
I'm tired because I took a week off from exercising and then I worked out yesterday. Oh, Jesus, that was painful.
Yeah, I also did a Girl Scout camp with my daughter, and we did a 6-mile hike that had, a couple thousand feet of elevation change. So that was pretty tiring too.
Wow. Do you go up, the Rainier Park or something?
Wallace Falls.
Oh, okay. All right, let's see. Okay, so everyone's engaging with us, so that's good. That means we got audio and stuff, so let's get started. SEO this week. Welcome everyone to episode 137. My name is Clint Butler, and as always, I'm joined by my good friend Ted Kibitis. Say hi, Ted.
Hello.
If you guys didn't notice, we took a week off. We went to NFG Rockstars. I got some notes from that. I'll share some that I want to. Some I'm going to save, but but that was a great conference. How did it go for you, Ted?
Well, there's this one nugget drop on reputation management that was killer. So I think that that one made the whole show for me.
Oh, sweet.
But it was pretty awesome. Like I've never seen a conference like that where there was so much information dropped. And I was shocked by Craig Campbell's presentation too, because that thing was definitely not legal.
Yeah, a lot of that I was like, man, I should probably take my black hat off because this dude's like, there's black hat and then there's going to jail.
Well, yeah, I get nervous for the conference when people start giving that information to the audience. It's like, no. So if you were there at the conference, please don't do anything illegal. It's just not worth it.
Yeah. Yeah. Social engineering is not cool. Unless it's in, that's your sort of thing, then, do your thing. But I'm just saying. Let's see what we got today. We got 10 stories. Most of them are Google announcements, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just the SEO community for the last couple of weeks are, I think they're all coming back from summer vacations and such. I did the Disney trip over in Anaheim, part of the conference. It was like the pre-VIP day or whatever you want to call it.
Now, I
think the entire state of California was in that park.
I would have paid money to get a photo of Clint coming out of It's a Small World. That would have been awesome.
I did that ride 20 years ago, and I remember it to this day, and I'll never do it again. Even my kids are like, "This is stupid."
No, you gotta go on that ride knowing what it is and yelling extreme and overreacting to it.
Yeah, you gotta definitely make that ride fun. The Star Wars attraction, that was pretty cool, riding the Millennium Falcon. It was kind of interactive ride at the same time. That was fun. And California Adventures, as always, didn't let down. That's where all the cool rides were. So, but we walked 10 miles that day. Holy hell!
I really like California Adventures at night because of all the neon in Cars Land.
Oh yeah.
That's like really cool.
Yeah, we did the Guardians of the Galaxy right after it got dark, and that building lights up pretty awesome. So it was a good time. I appreciate it. I thank Dory, Jason, Mike, Brad, and or not Jason, Jordan, for putting that conference together and allowing me to attend and speak. So it was a good time. 150-ish people showed up. I think it was a little less than that, but still it was a perfect crowd. Not too small, not too big. You get to interact with a lot of people, and I will tell you that there is nothing more humbling than to have someone come up to you and say, "Hey, we watch your shows, and I just want to thank you because you guys changed my life." And that is awesome. And you get to do that when you go out to when you actually help people, versus selling to people, and two, when you get out there and network and go to these conferences and stuff. I'm not a big crowds people, so typically I'll do like SEO rock stars in the spring training, but don't let that hold you guys back. PubCon is going on this weekend in Vegas. As a matter of fact, if you want to get to a conference, I know a lot of people are going to that. And if you want to see or meet Craig Campbell and learn about how not to things to not do, then go talk to Craig. That'll be a good conversation.
Or if you want step-by-step instructions for several felonies.
Yep. Some of the things I'll go over some of the things at the end of the show, but like we'll get Mike Steffens on here. We're gonna get Jordan Pierce on here. I know they're going to sell the recordings for that, so I'm gonna get Jordan on here talking a little bit when the time comes for that. And let's see who else. There's a couple other people. Lisa, I'm not going to try to pronounce her last name and get her on talking about sales. That was a good presentation. I think a lot of people would get some value out of. And there was a few others that I would like to invite. Stephen Kang, I was a little disappointed in his presentation. One, he was like super nerd level. And then two, I wanted to know how the hell he made that group so fast, or so big. What is his promotion stuff? And he went on a different route for his presentation. So I'd like to get Stephen Kang on the show too. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. I chatted with Stephen for a couple hours at the bar, and we just talked, SEO theory and testing methodologies. He actually operates at quite a high level, so he kept me on my toes for sure.
Yeah, he's a stupid smart dude. I didn't really try to keep up with that conversation with him. So, but I got to meet him, shake his hand, so that's cool. Presentation of the entire thing, I have to say, was Kyle's. Not so much because of the information that he gave out, because if you've seen, he's my friend, but if you've seen a Kyle presentation, you've seen all the Kyle presentations. But this time he actually closed it out with, hands down, I think was probably the best or the most heartfelt example of why we do this, what we do, why SEO This Week exists, why Fight Club exists, why we have no problem sharing and giving free information away. We know that it's, the stuff that we teach or talk about or tests, those all lead to money for people. And we have no problem giving that away. And Kyle's presentation, the last, I don't know, Ted, what do you say, the last 5-10 minutes? It's probably the most heartfelt presentation I've heard in a while. And he said he was only going to give it at Rockstars, but hopefully he talks about that for the rest of the speaking year.
Well, yeah, Kyle's one of those people that puts a lot of effort into his presentation. Like he will write it and perfect it, and then he'll use it all season long, like variations. He'll tweak it and adapt it. But I don't see how he can do this conference all year long. I mean, that one took a huge toll out of him.
Yeah, it did.
So, I think that was probably the only time that particular presentation was going to happen. He'll probably use the data and the facts and for the rest of the season, but you probably won't get that full story again.
Yeah, I think, you talked about the reputation stuff that I give, but I don't know, to me, if I was buying the recordings, that part right there would be worth the purchase. But I'll also say, thank God they didn't make me go right behind Kyle again, because I would have just quit right there.
Yeah. They if they don't want to make anyone feel bad about going after Kyle, you should probably put me after Kyle. But then you got to feel bad for whoever comes after me.
I can overcome those odds, but geez,
yeah.
Honestly, I probably wouldn't even have been able to speak clearly for a few minutes after Kyle talked. So,
well, yeah, you definitely got to break it up. And the NFG guys were cool about that. I think they had a 15-minute break after Kyle.
Yeah, 15-minute break. They held that conference. It was split. Jordan was the MC, but Mike kicked in there too, and it kind of split it up and it made it so it wasn't a painful conference fest, speaker fest, or marathon. So and I appreciate that too. It was a good one. So,
and I
see the recordings and what comes out of those.
I was thrilled that we didn't have to do Dory's name game.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. When that didn't happen, I was celebrating. So I actually had a rum and coke for that.
Sorry, Dory.
All right, so with all the chatting, let's get into the stories. Won't be that bad, I promise. Here we go. Hopefully you guys see everything. So episode 137, SSL, Sitemaps, and Schema. Let's get on with it. This one here, multiple H1s won't get in the way of your SEO. This is John Mueller's latest Ask Google Hangouts. I think this thing will not die. Is like, I don't understand why this topic is so hard to get. And, maybe I do, is, Kyle and I specifically, we talk about using one H1, setting up your page in outline format. But people are still asking the question, will multiple H1s hurt SEO?
Well, if you look at Google only, you're fine. But if you look to Bing, Bing reports multiple H1s is an error.
Yeah.
So, it depends upon whether or not you're a one search engine, SEO.
I wonder who this, who's this really catering? Is it web developers that are asking this question, or is it legit SEOs? Because web developers, if they use H tags to make the coding process faster for them. So they keep asking this question, and because they're SEOs, perhaps are saying, hey, don't do that. And they're like, oh, but John Mueller says that I can kind of.
Well, I think it speaks to how organized are you with your content. And if you want to send the signal, hey, I'm not very organized at all, you use multiple H1s and you nest your headings in bizarre orders. And then you just show people how disorganized your content is. Or you can get organized with your content and make it readable and have good flow and well thought out.
Right.
But that isn't algorithms, not really. That's more for, the human part where you're trying to sell and communicate effectively.
Wouldn't you think that having multiple H1s would mess up with the algorithm? I would think it does.
I think the bigger problem with headings is when people use them for read more links and contact us, and they make a heading for the word about.
The unrelated
headings are supposed to be about your topic. They're supposed to be contextual. And when you put garbage text in a heading because it's the right font size or font weight, that's kind of off topic.
Yeah, good point. I don't know. This probably as I don't think this will ever die. I, as a standard practice, only use one H1. John Mueller says you can use multiple. So if you want to go with what he says, go for it. To me, I think a structured page based on the outline format, using one H1 and using the rest of the H tags as your hierarchy for the page is easier for the math. When I say the math, the algorithm to understand what the page is about, and you get better ranking. So
yeah, I think headings should have, questions. They should have your keyword variations. They should have LSI topics, or they should have calls to action.
Yeah.
And if you're not doing those in your headings, then you're using them wrong.
Yeah, or just wasting the feature or the attention getting of that heading. So
yeah, you can use a span tag with the exact same formats. So, in CSS. So don't misuse headings.
Yeah. Interesting. I know my developers hate me because I'll make them go in and fix all that crap. So, and I'll continue to do it. I don't care what John Mueller says. Znet.com, Google getting tougher on HTTPS. Basically, what is happening in December is Chrome 79, I think this is the instance that's going to be. It will no longer display by default mixed content. So if you're on HTTPS digitaleer.com and then you have some images that are HTTP digitaleer.com, it won't show those by default. You'll be able to switch that function off to force it to show mixed content until January 2020, and then January 2020 Google takes that option away from you.
So this is a bit of half truth marketing. So Google is going to do this, and it's going to put up some sort of scary notification in Chrome.
Mm-hmm.
And that will affect human beings and their behaviors.
Yep.
But it's not necessarily algorithmic. And the reason I can say that is mobile Googlebot is still using Chrome 41. And so all this stuff they're doing isn't in the mobile Googlebot. So, and even the claims that Googlebot has been modernized appears to only be true on the desktop side.
Only on the desktop. You think that's because it's harder for the mobile side?
I'm not sure what Google's doing, but you can open up your Apache weblogs and look at the user agent from mobile Googlebot, and it's Chrome 41.
Huh.
So
interesting. Well, I was saying that this has been, from my perspective, this has been a long time coming. Everyone expected it. Google and Mozilla and pretty much everyone else said, hey, go to HTTPS. So if you're not there, you should be. I think I've got one client on the Digitaleer side that is still running HTTP. He's, dug his feet in. But this has kind of helped me say, hey, it's time to upgrade. So that's good. And it's also a point of contact. So if you're looking for leads for your SEO agency, add this to an email and go, hey, this is one of the many things that we can do to help improve your SEO. And by the way, we're not talking out of our fourth point of contact, which is your ass if you don't know. But we're not talking out of our fourth point of contact. Here's Google themselves saying you have to have the HTTPS in there. And really with Let's Encrypt, cPanel, I know it's there, or WHM, it makes it free. So there's really no reason to do it. And if you're on a hosting company and charge you for a SSL certificate, switch hosts, go to SiteGround or Liquid Web, and you get Let's Encrypt for free for all your sites. So that's my recommendation. I think WHM has got it triggered in there too. So
yeah, it's a few extra steps, but if it's a legitimate website, then you want to do it anyway.
Yeah. If you're running WordPress, you don't feel like messing with the coding side, to switch everything over and going into your database and changing everything, get a really simple SSL, turn it on, push the activate button, and it does everything for you. I think they've made part of it paid. So if you pay for it and then you deactivate it, it doesn't remove it, but I've deactivated it and just deleted it out of the FTP, and everything stays the same. So good plugin, especially if you don't want to dink around with the code stuff. If you know how to do the code and you know how to do all the changes in your database, knock yourself out. But coming from a guy who's deleted plenty of databases on websites, I don't mess with that. So really simple SSL. Sitemaps are not worthwhile for SEO purposes. I guess to me this this statement depends on how you use the sitemap. And wouldn't that be accurate?
Aren't they going back a ways with Matt Cutts there?
Yeah.
He's not even a Google employee.
Yeah.
And they are value for SEO purposes. That's kind of stupid claim. They're very diagnostic. If you separate your website pages by the type of page and create a sitemap for each, so all your product pages have a sitemap, all your category pages have a sitemap, all your brand and support pages have a sitemap, all your blog pages have a sitemap, you can diagnostically see if you have an indexing problem with a particular type of page.
Mm-hmm.
And that right there is why they even have value. I agree that sitemaps absolutely suck for indexing content. So as far as that goes, but that's a Google Search Console problem. That's not a problem with sitemaps. That's the problem that Google Search Console itself kind of sucks in processing sitemaps.
Especially during this whole switch over between old and new, it's getting a little clunky. So I use HTML sitemaps. So when we talked about silos on Fight Club, and I talked about having that location page, send all your links to that, and then it passes the juice to the location pages. You can use the HTML sitemaps in the same way.
Oh yeah, and HTML sitemaps. So when I was commenting before, that was the XML sitemaps within Google Search Console.
Yeah.
So you have to work hard to get value out of those, and that's pretty much the only way you can get value out of those. HTML sitemaps, hugely valuable. That's how you get content indexed.
Yeah.
So if you have, 1,200 pages to get indexed by, day after tomorrow, HTML sitemap is your only route.
Yeah, Terry Samuels showed a method like that in spring training, and that's been long enough to go, I'll tell you. But basically on his location pages, he uses an accordion and then puts all the citations in that accordion, which is essentially the same thing you would do with HTML sitemap, but internal. But so those are indexing great for him now. So
I could not disagree more with John Mueller's statement that HTML sitemaps are not worthwhile for SEO. He clearly doesn't know SEO if he's making that claim.
What do you think about user perspective from an HTML site? That like you put it on your site, you get the link sitemaps, and then
they're not for human beings. They're for algorithms.
Could you leverage that though? Like you're doing, let's say you're doing the silos like Kyle and I talk about, and you have those supporting articles, and someone's looking for Houston SEO, for instance, and they click the sitemap and see the supporting articles for your Houston SEO.
Well, ideally, your primary navigation is built for humans. So if your humans have a need for that, your primary navigation should have it covered.
All right.
But your sitemap for algorithms, which is kind of a dump of, here's everything to discover.
Yeah.
I mean, that you don't put in your primary navigation, you put it in your footer or something, somewhere else on the page.
So if the users are going to it, then you got a navigation issue that you need to address.
Yeah, typically I would expect no human beings to use the sitemap. And if you see in your logs that they are, find out what they're clicking on and get that into your primary nav.
Yeah, that makes sense. Sweet.
Same thing with your site search. If people are site searching for something that isn't in your primary nav, those are candidates to get into that navigation. Because I guarantee you're losing a lot more traffic for not having it there.
Yeah. Perfect. Here's another one. Links do not expire, but they may become less important over time. We had this discussion at the conference where we were talking about links once they're de-indexed or deleted. Link echo is what Dory Friend talked about. She's talked about it in the SIA too, so I'm not giving anything away from the VIP day, but this is kind of along the same lines where you have a link that's, say, a year old, and you're all, happy and excited. I got this year-old link on this DA, whatever. John's saying, hey, that link is less valuable today than it was a year ago when you first got it. And
well, technically, this is John Mueller contradicting himself again, because, within the past year, John Mueller also said that no index follows eventually turn into no index no follows. So that's an expiration.
So they become less important.
So it's a total 180 on his own claim.
Yeah. Interesting.
But of course, SE Roundtable will never call him out on that.
Yeah. Well, in Barry's defense, he is a reporter in the niche. So,
well, I mean, hold people accountable when they're being inconsistent. Ask questions. Reporters ask questions.
CNN? Jeez.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, but that's that. Links. To me, I think if you I had this discussion with someone the other day on link velocity, and you should be always building new links to your projects. You should not stop. Whether that's a high velocity or low velocity, that's just up to you. My laziness is always deferred to low, so I build what I need to match the competition, and then I just go above and beyond, and I can do that slowly, and I don't have to worry about the link philosophy, as it were. But this is just an indication or a good argument for why you should have continuing SEO services, or why you should be doing SEO continuously over time. It's not a rank and then leave it, because there's several factors. Other SEOs could be still working on it and overtake you. Your links can be deleted. The link echo goes away, or your links become less important. So this is yet another good case, at least from that perspective, on why continuing SEO services are needed for everybody's business. Let's see. Elementor. I don't use Elementor. I found the early parts of this WordPress page builder were clunky, added a whole lot of extra code everywhere. But in their defense, everyone does. But this one in particular added more than I was happy with, especially doing all the page speed stuff. That said, supposedly they're getting better. And I know that a ton of people watching the show or listening to the podcast, etc., are using Elementor. So if you're using that, using Google Tag Manager, which you should be, this is a way to integrate Tag Manager into your forms to make sure you get good, accurate tracking, so you know your numbers. I will say that Analytics Mania has got a couple good courses. The GTM course is great. So if you're not messing around with Google Tag Manager, you can't go wrong with this course. So check that out. And I won't dig too much into the topic and going through here, but you can see step-by-step pictures are there, everything that you need to do to knock it all out. And I think you'll get some value out of knowing who's filling out your stuff and your conversions and all that stuff too. So make sure you check this post out if you're using Elementor. This one's from drift.com, step-by-step guide to solving your landing page problems. Drift is a auto responder. I think I've used it once for company stuff, then we just kind of switched over to something else, but it's still pretty good. It goes over the basics. What is a landing page? And then some optimization stuff that is pretty interesting, i.e. define your value proposition and your measurements. Probably measurements is be one of the more important things there, especially when you start doing your testing. Design an intuitive user experience. The one's kind of, broad, in my opinion, but there's some great points to look at and run tests and experiments, which is the key to SEO Fight Club and pretty much everything that we do as marketers. You should be running tests, running experiments, doing variations, etc.
Yeah.
And you can rank landing pages. So if you use your PPC budget, run the tests, experiments, find the best one, and then rank the best one. That's a sound way to go to use to leverage organic and PPC.
Yeah, this
Which
is
is why I wanted to point this out, is because most of these pages are all talk about PPC or just optimizing it, and don't consider search. And these guys actually considered search down in this box down here, which is really cool. Go ahead.
yeah,
Ted.
this is critical to channel marketing. I mean, this is the fundamental of getting channel marketing to work is you don't run one campaign, or you don't run one ad, you don't run one landing page, you run multiple and you figure out which ones perform best. And that's the key. So no matter what channel you're in, it's always going to be testing.
Yeah, this is awesome. Radiustheme.com. Schema plugins. This is another topic. It came up in the conference, is which schema plugin do you use? And I will say, I'm not naive. You can't write schema for 25,000 products. Well, you could, but that's a year project, and then just no one's going to stick with you for a year while you write the schema for it. So you got to have some tools to make things a little bit easier. And some of these plugins are actually pretty good. I've leveraged some of them, and others I did, and then I deleted. WP Structured Data Schema is actually a really cool plugin. They build on it, let you pay some more and stuff, and etc. This code is structured fairly well. It's not as good as if you wrote it by yourself, obviously, but it's structured really well. I use Yoast Premium. Oh, go ahead, Ted.
Oh, I was going to say for enterprise SEO, the challenge changes. You're now mapping database fields to schema fields and then writing a project specification for the web developers to make that happen.
Or you can use a schema app, and they have an option that does what you talked about, but it's like stupid expensive. And the downside to schema app is as soon as you stop paying for it, and you remove the plugin or remove your account, all that schema that was published on your site is gone.
Yeah. So it's usually better just to make the web developers put it in.
Yeah, for sure. This one is talked about by a lot of people. I've seen more and more messages saying that there's some issues with the schema and the implementation. But rank math is still popular within the community. I've never seen this one. I've used this one before and seen it on client sites. It's actually pretty good. And I believe there's a premium version. Yep, here you go. Premium version. So you can do custom post types, etc. And then this one I've not seen before. It is the first one that I've seen that actually addresses AMP and the compatibility of the two. So definitely some options out there. Again, I just use Yoast Premium, especially for most of my sites. They went pretty deep into schema, and they look like they're planning on keeping that updated, which is really the key when you're dealing with plugins. So they're going to keep it updated in with the standard.
Yeah, I like the user interface of rank math, but I'll be honest, I really have no basis for comparison on how well they perform in the rankings.
I think it's really user interface and the features and the ease of use. For someone who's probably advanced, like at your level, you're not going to need all the advice and recommendations and everything else that is thrown into a plugin, like SEO Oppressor or Yoast's recommendations for that matter. I turn all that crap off. And a lot of it is, like on-page analysis in some of these plugins and all that madness. And really, I don't need any of that because I've been doing it for so long. They're perfect for beginners. Don't get me wrong. You're going to learn a lot by using those things, but at some point you just kind of outgrow that stuff. Which is why I lean more towards the technical, do it and figure it out on your own kind of plugins or options where you can shut off things like Yoast. You can shut off all those analysis things and all that madness. Which is like why this WPSEO structured data schema kind of attracted me. Schema app, it's really good. It just there's a learning curve to it, and if you stop using it, then you got to relearn the stupid thing. They try to make decent videos out of it, and their support is really helpful. It's $100 a month for multiple sites, but you don't get the enterprise features. So if you're trying to mark up a page with 25,000, you're going to be spending a lot more. And I think it was like $1,000 a month for that add-on.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, especially with something that's going to be deleted after you're done with it.
Because honestly, it's like a 2-week project for one developer at any large online retailer. So it's not going to be worth that amount of money.
Yeah. All right. This one, Christopher Benitez over at DFY Links. It's techniques to get free backlinks to your website. I like this one just because I use these to hide stuff. Hold on, stupid Spanish. I use these to to pillow if you want to work, or just hide your good links into, so you find some decent do follow or easy to acquire links. There's some solutions in here. I wanted to scroll down. Do Splash is cool. Growth Hackers, I've submitted content there. You get traffic from that site. Biz Sugar, sometimes you get traffic from there. More often than not, you end up in the voting crowd, and these are all friends that vote each other up, but it's possible. Scoop It, I leverage a lot, so I would check this stuff out and see what you can get out of it. Let's see, and then Haro is, if you're an SEO writer looking for people who are wanting to write SEO articles, don't even mess with it. But if you're in the health niche and all those other outside niches where you can add some value and stuff, this is a really good opportunity to reach out, especially on behalf of your clients. Just if you have to, you just pretend you're them, and you can get some good citations from the people that are leveraging Haro. I wanted to try it out in the reverse and start asking for people to get out of the Facebook crowds of the groups and get exposure to some different people and their opinions for content for my website. So I want to switch that around and see how that goes. And let's see, there was one other one in here. Product Hunt. This one's still growing. I think if you're into a SaaS and you're promoting that stuff, then this is a good place to try it out. Ted, have you put Quora in there in the Product Hunt?
No, actually, I haven't. I probably should.
They got a lot of reach out there and a lot of people and a really good mailing list. So, and as your software gets more votes, so you see that voting system right there, it hits the emails and it goes out to everybody. So I would try that out and then just use the ING community to go in there and upvote that thing and get some more exposure. It's really cool. I honestly, I spend a lot of money on a product, just the stuff that's in there and found. So it'd be a good opportunity. Again, there's some more link building stuff in here, and I think there's a Facebook group that's mentioned. This Do Follow link sharing Facebook group. I was in there for a bit. It's okay. You have to submit 2 Do Follow links to the group, and then you'll get, which allows you to stay in. And then you'll get other people will share theirs, and you kind of put that all together. I want to leverage it a little bit more and see if I can put together a list of links. I know what's in there and be able to keep up with it a lot better. But there's it's crowdsourcing link opportunities, so I think it's pretty cool. And that's it. You can see the great infographic stuff. Teddy, I don't know, have you ever in the ecom, have you used infographics to generate traffic or links?
Well, in SEO, I've found from time to time I would look at infographics to find what are the common denominators that people claim work. Mm-hmm. I think there is some like 101 value to infographics. I think there's an audience for them. You know, but at the higher levels of content, I've never found answers from them. You know, one of the most interesting infographics I think I've ever seen was the periodic table of SEO factors.
Oh yeah.
The fact that they group the factors, but you know, the truth is there's just as much bullshit in that graphic as there is in any other blog post on SEO. You know, if it's not coming with the research showing, you know, which ones are, you know, the most compelling by correlation, or, you know, something to back it up, you know, by experimental research, you know, something.
Yeah.
Then it's all just, you know, any other list of, you know, SEO theories.
For sure.
Um,
I've
but
used them on Pinterest. So, like, I go to Pinterest, I'll find a popular one, and then I'll create a blog post about it. And then I'll take that and pin it to my account, and that generates a lot of traffic and the shares of that pin, which is essentially link building inside of that Pinterest community. So,
yeah, so in my presentation at NFG Rockstars, I showed people how I dominate, you know, all of page 1 and half of page 2. And image SEO is most definitely part of that. Pinterest is a great tool for getting that part of the page.
wait, you showed real life proof of your ranking results?
I'm never doing it again. But yes, it happened at NFG Rockstars. It is the only time in my whole career I have shown past work. But I figured, you know, people called us out for proof, so I showed some proof.
Showed some proof. You did. I was surprised, to be completely honest. So, so if you want to see it, get beat up Jordan and check out the recordings. That's all I can say about that. Let's see. And this is e-commerce conversion rates. One of the close this out was Ted. His presentation was on e-commerce and some opportunities and stuff. And this is conversions, not SEO, but just as important. And some of the topics are stock scarcity. Do you leverage stock scarcity? Like, I always find it kind of, you know, if
it is magical, and I recommend that all online retailers do it. And the way you want to code it in, and I don't think Shopify or anybody does this. So if they're listening, hopefully they update. But if you have a custom store and a web developer, you set a threshold field in the database for inventory. And when you fall below that threshold, you activate your nearly sold out messaging. And so you get bold and red and you say nearly sold out. And all of a sudden that helps you empty those pick bins that only have a handful of units in them. Your warehouse people love you when you get rid of those nearly sold out bins and they go to empty, because they can reclaim the much needed shelf space, which is a finite resource for an online retailer. So if you can implement nearly sold out, it is a magical feature that boosts sales.
A little off topic, but what do you think about using scarcity for digital products?
It works too, but if people know you're bullshitting, it can blow up in your face.
Yeah.
So it's much better for physical products that actually can sell out.
Yeah, I think if you use it for digital stuff, and like we're only going to let 3 or 4 more people in, etc., it just kind of gets overplayed. Matt Diggity is using it pretty well right now because of the Chiang Mai conference, and he sold out. And he keeps talking about people who saying, you know, look, it's sold out. We're not going to allow you to buy more tickets, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop and go, oh, we found 5 more spaces. You know, you know what I mean?
Well, the proper way to do it with digital and things like courses and conferences is the early bird special. So the people who sign up early get this special pricing, get this extra value. And then the way that you commit to that is you say, hey, we have to honor our promise to everyone who signed up early.
Yeah.
And that's the proper way to do that. You don't want to say we sold out. You got to say we have to honor the promises we made to our early bird takers.
Right. I like Brian Dean's use of it. Here's our new version of this course. It's available for 7 days, and you won't see it again until next quarter. So that's a good form of scarcity for a digital product, of course.
Yeah, blackout dates on it, so you can't have access for a while.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. I haven't seen this one used a lot of size scarcity. So that's pretty cool. I've seen sites actually put the number left of that size too, so that helps out.
Yeah, that's a big problem because there are popular sizes, and online retailers will sell out of all the popular sizes. And then what do? You have a product that basically disappoints when most people visit it.
Yeah.
And so one thing you can do is try to show from the category pages what sizes are left in stock, and if you have faceted navigation, allow people to search for their size up front.
Oh, that makes sense. Let's see. Time-bound purchase for next day shipping, like Amazon does. Have you leveraged that?
Yeah, and this is actually a huge deal to online retailers, especially as you get close to shipping cutoffs for the holiday season. Getting an extra day of shipping orders to people before the holiday is huge. So if you can get that expedited shipping for one more day, to some retailers, that's a couple $1 million.
Yeah.
So, that's really important. And when people really want it to be there, like there's a shipping cutoff for getting flowers to mom on Mother's Day, there's a shipping cutoff for the Christmas holiday. That's a very important thing, especially when 80% of your sales happen in Q4. You got to be on top of shipping cutoff.
And then the last one I've seen this a lot is the abandoned cart item, limited time discount on abandoned cart items.
Oh yeah, it's huge. There are SaaS services that will manage your abandoned cart reminder emails and viewed recently emails, and remember to go and leave a review emails. There's a million of those kinds of little scenarios, and you can absolutely boost your email revenue by partaking of those tracking pixels and marketing campaigns.
Nice. As a consumer, it's good you sign up for those and then leave the cart and see if they have hidden certificates or discounts. So
yeah, and I believe the way these services work is the retailer already has you on a mailing list, and because there's an email with a tracking pixel and the tracking pixel on the website, they can link the behavior to the recipient of the email.
Or after you add the cart, it asks for your email. Just like, you submit it, add to cart, ask for your email, you go to the cart, and then if you leave, it's already they've captured it.
Yeah. So there's some way that they tie the pixel to the mailing list.
Yeah. Nice. All right. That is it. That one, this story is on VWO.com. You want to check that out. A really good write-up. I haven't seen very many write-ups include as many different options for conversion, so I would check it out and test those, especially if you're in the e-commerce space or affiliate with the e-commerce kind of funnel looking at your website. So I would check all those things out. And that's it for the stories. So let me stop sharing the screen and go back to my happy face. So I want to talk about rock stars and some of the takeaways. I got a couple. I don't want to dominate totally, but
Wait, are we allowed to do this? Didn't we sign stuff?
Well, they're going to release the recordings, and I'm not doing the VIP day. I'm keeping all that stuff myself. So, and there's some in here that I'm not sharing either.
Okay.
But they're going to sell the recording, so the stuff will be out anyway in a couple of weeks. So if you want to get more obviously I'm not giving away everything. I'm just giving away my notes, and you can see I write really small notes. So one of the things that I liked, and we talked about the blueprint system from Ryan Stewart, and that is grouping files by client, not to the staff, which was really, that was a hard lesson learned for my agency. I know you don't do much client stuff now. And you had that one super big client for the longest time, but do you, in project management, what are like your key lesson that you got out of project management that everyone should be applying?
You have to have a system, and you have to be strict about the system. I mean, that's the whole key. I've always been a fan of Scrum because, just a 5-minute touch base keeps everybody motivated to get stuff done. Because you don't ever want to show up and say, well, I did nothing. It's basically peer pressure to get it done. And so, you got to find what works for you. Some people like Kanban, some people like waterfall, and they just want to have everything documented up front so they can just hammer it out. It's just whatever works for you, go with that.
I found that philosophy is cool, but you also have to take your team into account.
Yeah.
And if they're not going to use that system, then it kind of defeats the purpose, because you're always fighting them to use the system.
Yeah, some people hate Jira. I find Jira is basic enough that it does what I need. Some people want to use other tools like
I don't even know what that is. What the hell is Jira?
It's the tools that the developers use for tracking the work and
okay.
what part of the process it's in, and they can all do these different methodologies, but some do certain things better. Like Jira kind of sucks at burn down charts, but not everybody uses burn down charts. So
yeah, Lloyd Reich uses Agile. Get Scrum uses Scrum.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. And then the other one I wanted to share is, this is a quote from Corey Rose. If you've never seen or heard that guy talk, it's a great presentation. And he talks about, I have a video from him. I don't know if I'm allowed to share it or not. He gave it with Semantic Mastery. Maybe I'll read it out to Corey and see if it's okay to share it now, since it's been a couple of years. But he went through his sales process. He did it a little bit this time too during the conference, but the key quote I got out of him was, every dollar you earn is a certificate of appreciation for a job well done. I think that's pretty cool. So if you like this recognition of yourself, that's a good way to think of how your money is.
Yeah, that's like a different spin on a similar one. If your sole intention is to make money, you probably won't.
Yeah, honestly, I'd like to get Corey on, because he's a great talker. It was a great presentation. He's loud, so next time, Jordan, if we have him, we turn down the speakers a little bit, but he got your attention for sure. And then there's some other stuff in here. I think I'm not going to share the rest of that. One book reference, Built to Sell. I didn't get the author of that, so I'll check that out and see what that book is.
And to walk back my opinion a little bit on Craig Campbell's stuff, he lives in a different country, so jurisdiction matters a lot. But the stuff he recommended scared me. He operates at a different level of black hat than I would.
Yeah, I think the value of that is knowing what other people are willing to do.
Yeah. So, in terms of understanding what you're up against, that's very real. And his stuff was really clever. Like, he is a smart guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd be careful about doing the things he does. Definitely look into your local laws first.
Yeah. But yeah, even with mine, my presentation, I talked about a negative SEO technique, not to teach you how to do negative SEO, but to teach you this is the method. Now you should be looking for it. And none of us were, at the end of the day, you wouldn't know about it if you're not aware of that technique. I think that's where the value of Craig's thing comes in. I think there's probably 99.9% of people who wouldn't do what he was talking about. And to caveat on Craig, he's not doing it anymore. But this is stuff that it's real, it's happening,
Yeah.
and it's happening every day. So
Yeah.
you need to know it's there.
If you want to understand what you're up against, you need to know.
Yeah. And like Jordan said, Craig only touched on a fraction of what people do in terms of black hat, which is scary, and it really is. And
Well,
I think Jordan made that conversation. There's the white hat, there's black hat, and then there's jail hat. And what Craig was talking about.
Yeah. And there's a big distinction. Like, I don't think black hat is doing the illegal stuff. Black hat means you're doing SEO that works despite what the webmaster guidelines are. There's no crime in that. There's what Google disapproves of, and that's not a law. The illegal stuff is illegal. If you go to a black hat forum and start telling people, hey, you should do this illegal stuff, you'll probably get banned instantly. Because that's not what black hat is. So
right. Oh, all right. Let's see. We have one question. Clint, can you share in which videos you talked about prospecting, cold emailing in detail? I remember watching it, but can't find it. I think it could be SIA. It was actually a Tuesday chat that we did in SIA with Kyle, myself, and Brian Hong. Brian did the whole presentation. He gave the presentation to me. I'll check again, but I'm pretty sure I asked him if I could use the presentation and reteach that some more, and that's hands down is the best process. It's still to this day, after he taught it, the one that we use, just because it's a lot it's broken down like dummy style, and here's the steps, and this is the software we use, this is the outreach we get. And I've used Brian Hong's service and then get really quality posts following those steps. So I'll ask him again if I can use that, and then I'll do maybe we'll get him on here to talk about it himself if he wants to, and if he doesn't, then I'll see if I can get permission to actually see his presentation. Let's see. Another question is, where can we buy the presentations of the recordings? Story has already announced it in an email. I deleted the email because I'm not going to buy the recordings. I just took good notes. But when Jordan announces it publicly, you can find it on his Facebook thing, and then maybe by next week he'll have it and you can get the link directly. But I know for a fact if you're on Dory's list, there's an option to buy it. I just really don't know the URL. I apologize for that.
Somebody's asking for your nugget drop, but honestly, I can't talk about it. I signed a contract saying I wouldn't. So the only way you can get it is through their videos.
Yeah, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna give it away on Fight Club. It's not because I want you to buy the recordings. It's just because there's less people that are using it, the more effective it is. But if you buy the recordings, it's in there. So I thought the conference was not going to be recorded, and then Jordan told me like a week ago that it was, and I deleted that section completely from my presentation. But I just decided that I wanted to provide some value, so I added it in there. So
yeah, I'm pretty certain.
Never talking about it again, so I can tell you that much.
I'm pretty certain you made industry enemies by sharing that.
All right, let's see, and that's it. If you guys have any more questions, that would be awesome. Otherwise, I think we'll call it. It's been an hour. I appreciate you guys coming. Again, thank you for allowing me to take that week break for NFG. Maybe next time we'll do it live. We talked about doing Fight Club live, and we didn't do it, but that would have been cool. All of us on rum or whiskey or whatever our preferred drink was.
Yeah, that airport internet sucked. There's no way we could have done it from that hotel.
So if you can, leave me thumbs up, thumbs down, share, whatever, hit the bell, log in the notifications and stuff. Interaction and engagement is engagement. So like us or not, as long as you're engaging with us, I'm happy. DJ Jesus, so Cred's Black Hat stuff is in the recordings. Yeah, that'll be in the recordings. Again, he talks about the things. He doesn't like go step by step. You're going to do this, this, and this. He's just, these are some methods that are being used or were used or currently are being used, and points out some of the stuff. But he's not going to, for obvious reasons, just this is do this, do this, do this. Is not.
Yeah, don't do what he says to do. Just know so you don't fall prey to those things, but don't do it. It's going to get you in trouble.
Yeah, being aware and knowing what to look for is the best bet, and educating your staff will save you a lot of time with the social engineering stuff that he's talking about. So, Fight Club tomorrow. Ted, what are we talking about?
We are going to talk about anything. It's an AMA. So if you're in the chat groups, we sent out a form and you can get priority on your questions by asking in the form we put in the groups. And if you aren't in the groups, bring your questions and ask them in chat. We'll try to get to as many of those as we can as well. Sure. But space is limited, so if it's really important, I recommend you get into the IMG group or the Cora group or the NFG groups and find the form and ask there to get priority.
Yep. And the easy is it's on my profile as well. So ask questions. Those are the shows we like to do. We can talk at you guys all day long, but it's more fun to talk with you. So and that's the same for SEO this week. So I'd like to thank you all for watching episode 137. Ted, thanks for joining me. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
All right, bye, everybody.